outside the door on the wall, and notice the meeting is posted in the Palmer Journal, the Republican Officer, Elkhart County website. I'll leave this like that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now need action on the table. Second.
Yes. Glenn?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Carolyn? Ed?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes. Now we need action on the minutes of August 13th. So moved.
Jan? Yes. Cliff?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Carolyn? Yes. Ed?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes. Now we need to have a tax correction number 2.
Gotta call Jan.
Oh, yeah, she's not here, that's right.
Jen stuff up. She wants to present it.
I did call her.
We're calling her right
here.
Leanne's got to read the book. The tax
Oh,
correction.
she's got to do it.
Speaker.
Just the book for right now.
Okay. And I probably tell her to bring it. Leanne's not up here with the book yet either. She's on her way. Just give it to her as she can your stuff up. Jen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay. Okay, this
Go ahead.
is, I'm sorry, good morning, how are you?
Good morning, how are you?
Okay, this will be tax correction 3754 for McCarg Builders. It is for real property on parcel ID 2527. Actual evaluation is actually accelerating the taxes because buildings were torn down. So the valuation was $39,975, and the accelerated tax will be for $722.81.
I move to authorize the chairman to sign tax correction 37, whatever it is.
Second. Russ?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Carolyn? Yes. Jan?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Okay, Roger, Leanne has the book, and you can just sign it in your normal spot, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Oh, yeah.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Roger?
Yes.
Motion carried.
The Opens Meeting Act is posted outside the door on the wall. A notice of the meeting was published in the Palmer Journal, Republican Nonpareil, on the Merrick County website. Now we need action on the agenda.
I move that we move the working on your budget to 2 o'clock, please.
Right, he's coming at 11:30.
Because, as one county supervisor said, that if we want a copy of the agenda, we can get, quote, our lazy butts over here and get it. So I did that on Monday. I have a copy of the agenda that I received from the clerk's office, and it says 2 o'clock.
On Monday?
I got this on Monday,
Yesterday.
no, a week ago.
Oh, a week ago. Oh, well, the one I got was,
But I got it from the clerk's office at 2, on Monday a week ago, and it says 2 o'clock. So I feel that we have a problem with Open Meetings Act by moving it up.
It was stated in the budget, or in the
it was in, on the agenda before 9:30.
It's not a hearing.
It's not a hearing, it's just a,
I agree with that. But I got a copy of the agenda on a week ago Monday, and it said 2 o'clock. Yesterday I found out it's at 11:30.
I looked at the agenda online, it said 2 o'clock. I'll agree with you, but you changed
It wasn't online a week ago.
It was on, like Monday or Tuesday it was, or whenever I looked at it, I don't remember.
Monday a week ago, it was not online.
Okay.
That's why I came over and got a copy.
It could have been Tuesday I looked at it, I mean,
And furthermore, we just got this budget packet, which gives us the befores and the afters, and we can't read it.
What?
What is the policy, could you please state the law that determines when an agenda can be changed?
Right, your defense is going to say it's kept current 24 hours ahead of time. So we should not get a copy of the agenda until 9 o'clock on the day before? Because it's subject to change up until that time.
It is subject to change up until that time, and it oftentimes does at the last minute. People are adding and taking things off and moving things around.
But it didn't change though.
It changed from 2 o'clock to 11:30.
Yeah, but
I don't
it
know when
was,
that change was when that change took place or why.
Because we didn't have anything on the agenda, so I checked with him to see if he could come earlier rather than hold everybody here and waiting around. And he said he could make it at 11:30, so we moved it.
And was that what the chairman's?
I checked with the county attorney also.
So there's a motion on the table, is that right?
Yes.
you have a second? Is the motion done? Second.
I know very quickly agenda is approved.
second.
Russ,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jan,
No.
Ed,
Yes.
Caroline. Yes. Roger,
Yes.
motion carried.
Now we need action on the minutes of August 13th.
So moved.
Tom,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Jan. Yes. Caroline. Ed,
Yes.
Roger,
Yes.
motion carried.
Now we have the meeting reports from Tom.
I had a Bader Park meeting Tuesday the 20th. I had nothing.
I didn't have any meetings either.
August 16th, I attended that Chief Justice Mike Hannigan's
that had a misplaced behavior, so.
Last winter, I had Region 3 that I was unable to attend because I was sick. But they did send a email. Did you get the email, Marcia, in regards to the tax increase?
We had a problem with that. Okay. And I'm working on that. I got it yesterday afternoon. I let Vicki know their figures are different what they sent originally. So, because she had the old one and the new one, her old one was wrong. So I sent her what she had originally proposed.
Okay.
So, and I haven't heard back yet.
All right. And I have, I'll check real fast just to see if she responded, because we usually get it. So it was,
The only thing I had was, the Chief Justice was here on the 16th. Now we'll have officials report. Marcia?
First, I need the board direction on this when it comes to Johnson Controls Security Solutions. They are the ones, they were ADT who installed our cameras and panic buttons. Then they went to Tyco, then they sold them out to Johnson Controls. Well, we also have applied. I got a bill from Johnson Controls for a little over $1,500, which I thought was a little bit too much. Because I thought they were only in charge of our panic buttons. Now I find out in talking to Applied that they still have our cameras here in the courthouse. But they have replaced some cameras in the jail that broke. Now, Johnson did or Applied did? Applied did. And Applied said Johnson still has control over the cameras here in the courthouse. So I'm not really sure what to do. The guy with Johnson is over here at the school today. He said he would maybe stop over when I didn't to talk to him about it. They can take the cameras over or just replace one by one as they go out. I talked to the guy at Johnson. He said not to pay the bill because that was too much, especially for just if it was just for panic buttons. And then he advised us to renew our contract, which is up. So it sets a rate. So I need some direction. I don't know who's got money because of who you want to have control of that stuff.
Is this like a maintenance contract?
Johnson Control has our panic buttons right now, and then we had to replace a whole bunch of them just recently because a bunch of them were bad, and that was done through Johnson. So, and they
Since we
still
own
have
the
ours.
equipment, the panic buttons and the cameras, it's just the maintenance that we need to consider, so.
Mhm. Now, Applied didn't say anything about our panic buttons, taking over the panic buttons, but they would take over the maintenance of the buttons. Now I could have to ask Applied. It doesn't have to.
It would be less confusing if we only had one maintenance agreement.
And
You
I
have
haven't
both dealing with
either.
it, yeah, that's more right.
We've had a lot of business with Applied, and I send those bills to Marcia, and it just seems like we get a bill every week. So if you call them, you get keep on the phone, you're getting a bill. And so that's probably how they operate, but boy, you get a lot of calls about maintenance, and before they even come out, they're charging you for the phone call too. So Johnson's, we don't deal with them that often. I know there's sometimes difficulty to hold of, and if I remember right, North Platte. So you got a traveling expense there too. At one time, I think it was fairly high to come all the way out here, like to change a panic button wasn't worth it. Because the closest guy was like North Platte, so I don't. What's that?
Don't they have the back?
You know, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. But it wouldn't be, yeah, it's definitely not Applied, so like with those, like you're talking like with the white cards and, yeah, I don't know. I've never had to deal with that.
So when you call or find, are you getting your problem resolved?
Oh, yeah, but definitely, you definitely pay for it.
What kind of, what kind of?
It's just to call and ask a question is $100.
Oh,
So,
so what's,
$100 a question, basically, is kind of what we,
so the maintenance agreement must not cover anything. I mean,
that I'm not for sure. I know we
because
had,
I would think a maintenance agreement, if you'd have some tech support.
we had a camera outside that was just dangling, I mean, it was just old, it basically rusted off. And Applied come and fix that one, or put a new one up, and I don't know if that was the old company or not, but we just had them fix it, they were here, so. Yeah, that's the last time I've dealt with them, is they fixed it, and they were right here, I mean, within the next day, so.
Do we have a maintenance contract with the client?
I think that's a confusing part of all of it. I think,
I don't know if all that business we did was something, I don't know.
I don't think there was a so-called maintenance. There was installation contracts, but I don't know that it was ever maintenance.
Very smart, really, very intelligent people. Like when you call them, you get an answer, but you know.
Where are they out of?
Columbus, I think. Ed Knott's in Columbus, and I think he was the owner that came here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was out of Columbus.
There's 8 cameras and then all the panic buttons in the courthouse that is under Johnson Controls Security Solutions. The DVR that Johnson Controls has down in the computer room, that's unplugged. Because Applied unplugged it because they didn't want there to be anything on it that we would lose if they didn't want to destroy it, so they kept it in case we need it.
But is there anything recording in its place?
Yeah, there's one recorder campus-wide, and that's through Applied.
So they're doing the recording, but they don't own the cameras. Is that how I understand it?
Right.
Is this something that we can take, have the finance committee look into?
Yep.
The finance committee look at, or the security, or courthouse security committee?
I don't care. I just need somebody to, and I can give you the name of the guys that I've been talking to because there's a Mike Jones that's in Omaha for Johnson. Yeah, I have his direct number.
Just too much good to go to finance if you don't know what you're gonna pay.
Yeah.
So security needs to.
Because this gentleman in Omaha thought it was just, if we were going to have just Johnson's for the panic buttons, he thought our bill should be around 900, something like 15. I agree that was too much.
What would it be a good idea to request proposals for maintenance from both of those firms? And so we know, I think, because I have the estimates from Applied, and there is not a maintenance agreement in this, it's just configuration and installation. So I still think, you know, with our internet, IT, whatever, we still need somebody that they can call and get some answers. I don't think it's answered the question as who do you call when there's a problem.
I don't have it.
What's that? Oh, it's Ed and Carolyn and Ed on safety.
Security.
Oh, security.
Yeah.
Ed and Janet.
On
On
security?
security, yeah, that's what I have now. Yeah.
Well, I would suggest that we ask for proposals from both firms, and then we can look at it. I think there's too much confusion at this point as to what's going on.
So we need to know which one definitely is taken care of, combine them.
Right.
I move we table this until the security committee can
cipher? I mean, do you have a problem with us requesting proposals? I think that's where it's going to go. We don't have one now, except Johnson has something on, obviously on panic buttons. And maybe it's.
It's up now. I mean, right now, we don't have anything with them either.
And so it's a good time to just get this matter clarified.
Report back at our next meeting.
Second?
Second.
Ed,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes, Tom?
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Carolyn, Roger.
Is that all you have? You have anything, Mike, or that we're official report, or? Okay, fine. John, do you, or no?
I do.
Okay.
I'd like to start with having Deputy Bauer come forward. It's on his day off, so he graciously come in to explain the e-citation grant, the money that we received and what it's for, and how that operates.
So the Nebraska Crime Commission, which is a governing body on law enforcement agencies in Nebraska, has mandated that any agency that writes over 500 traffic citations a year is required to go to an e-citation program. And so we have made that switch over to that program. And what that essentially does is it's all computer-based, and it will export all of the data to the Criminal Justice Information System, which is what agencies and county attorney's office across the state use to share information about people. And so what will happen is now when we write a citation, it'll automatically be exported to CJIS, and then in the morning, someone from the county attorney's office will log on and print off all of the citations that Central City Police Department and Merrick County Sheriff's Office and the Nebraska State Patrol has issued in Merrick County. State Patrol's been on the program now for several years. It really is a luxury. It's a wonderful program for us out on the road. It shortens the length of our traffic stops, which in turn is obviously a safety thing, and it makes things a lot easier for record keeping on the county attorney's side, because then you don't deal with deputies and officers that have bad handwriting. So, but beyond all of that, obviously, the really nice thing about this opportunity that we had was grant funding. And I put in several hours applying for a grant with the Crime Commission, and I got 47% of our project funded. So that was really exciting for me, and it was nice to have that kind of support from them for agencies all across the state.
So your project is getting this e-filing?
E-citation, yep.
You do not have it at this time?
No, we do, yeah.
You do have it?
Yep.
So now the grant's going to pay for it, is that?
The grant will cover 47%. Basically, you buy everything, you submit proof that you purchased everything, and then they reimburse you.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And you just started this, correct?
No, it's implemented.
Right, but it's been.
How long?
The
Oh.
equipment and everything was purchased?
Yeah, I would say that I trialed it for a couple weeks before we rolled it out to everybody else. And I would say that all the deputies have probably been on it for probably about a month now, wouldn't you say, Sheriff?
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. It's really new, and probably closer to 2 months, probably, I would say, early July. So, yeah.
And then how do you find it useful?
There were some kinks that we had to work out to make sure we were printing on right copy, and the printers, the paper for the printers is fairly expensive, and it doesn't always tear appropriately and tears off some portions that are necessary for the court filings, but I think we have all those kinks worked out by now.
And so what we're doing to combat that cost is, with your old system, what you would do is you would print 3 or 4, or you would have 3 or 4 copies of a citation in a carbon copy form that you would turn in. And now, since that paper, the paper, it costs more than normal print paper costs. And so what we're doing is now we're only printing one copy off of that instead of, all of them. So we print off one copy, turn it in, and then the county attorney's office, they print on regular printer paper whatever other copy they need to turn into the courts. Normally there's two copies that have to ultimately get printed. That's the county attorney's copy and the court's copy. And we're only printing that one. And really the only reason we have to print that one, we can't get around that at all, because that's the copy that the defendant has to sign. And if you don't have that defendant's signature, then the citation cannot be filed in court. So, again, I was really pleased with the Crime Commission's support. 47% of our project was reimbursed to us, and I've talked to some other agencies that didn't get nearly that much. So, and there's some that got a lot more, and then obviously there's some that didn't get as much. So.
What was the total cost of the project?
It was somewhere around $9,700. So, and they covered, I want to say 47 if I remember correctly. So.
And do you have the other 53% in the 19?
Yeah, we've already done all that.
20 budget. So
Yeah.
do all the patrolling cars have this in their vehicle now?
Well, nope. Only the patrol cars that patrol the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patrolling cars.
Yeah. No transport vehicles are obviously wouldn't be necessary to have any of that in. So.
So when you said it was quicker and safer, does this, I realize that you said it was, like if you're out on the road and got to stop, it's probably a lot quicker because you're not out along the right-of-way road and stuff like this. Now, does that transfer information, say that same driver had the same incident out in Sydney 2 days before? That'll all transfer, or it'll show up on his?
So long as Sydney uses e-citation. E-citation is a statewide program.
Right.
And so, which I would assume that an agency of that size probably would.
But it does transfer the information, what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
once you pull up that driver for speeding at 80 miles an hour or whatever, it's going to automatically bring up.
Not automatically, but I see what you're saying, yes, Russ. And so what would happen is, I could go on and let's say that I got even a warning or a citation in Sydney, and then I get pulled over here and the officer wants to look and see what my history is. He can pull my name up, and he can see any warning or citation that's been exported to CJIS. So, that works out really well. But locally, what is even better is our internal program. I can run what we call local check, and I can see every time that I've ever been pulled over and whether or not an warning or a citation was issued. So I can pull someone over and I can run their name through our local program, and I can see that they've been given 5 warnings for speeding, and apparently they're not learning. So they're going to get a citation that time. You know what I'm saying?
What about their past? What I'm saying is you stop somebody for speeding, and they've got a record for a DUI or drugs or something like that, that might say, hey, I need to look a little bit closer at this.
Yep.
It's going to give you a heads up saying that.
Yep. Then that's maintained by the Nebraska Department of Motor Vehicles. So they maintain all of that. So when we run their name through dispatch, their previous convictions will appear for traffic-related offenses. And then, like you said, for drugs, if we had something, in order to check someone's conviction history for like drugs, then we have to have a little bit more before we can do that. But then we just run another check through dispatch on a different system, and it'll show any kind of drug history throughout the country. So, yeah.
So when is that information downloaded to CJIS at the end of your shift? Or
Whenever in CJIS just automatically will export that at
So-
whatever time they do it.
Oh.
Is it done in the middle of the night? I don't
It
know.
is, when we come to work in the morning, all of those citations are there.
So as soon as you finish the stop, it's in, it goes to CJIS.
But it's mandated, you can't get around it.
Probably not as soon as we finish the stop, but at some point in that 24-hour period.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Say, according to that, when we're to Mathis, but that's.
Did they I think you mentioned, and I think I just heard Linnell say mandated, I think you did that, but you have to write so many citations a year in order to have to do that. And we,
Have to do what?
to have this citation
Oh, to
program,
have to do the,
that we
okay.
far exceed at the end of the
They,
thousands, so.
they will not let you continue to handwrite them anymore if you write over that 500.
Oh,
So
okay.
does Hamilton County have this?
Yeah, they've been on it for quite some time, yeah.
I didn't know they wrote that many citations.
I didn't either.
So you could, so, you,
Because of the interstate out there.
you know, if you stop somebody at Chapman and then it went on to Platte County, they probably wouldn't know that he'd already been stopped in Platte County, or if they, stop
Potentially
somebody,
not, yeah, potentially
if
not.
you stop somebody at the western end and they need to be stopped at the eastern end, there wouldn't be any information there at that point.
Potentially not yet, correct. Yeah, yeah. So,
Was this the 1920 budget that the remainder came out of, or last year's budget?
Say that again, sorry.
Did the remainder of the equipment come out of last year's budget?
Yes,
Oh,
This year's?
yeah. Not budgeted for this new one, no.
Right.
oh, okay.
Jake, before you're done, I'm gonna throw you under the bus here for a minute. Can you give them a quick update on the donation and the equipment from the Campos family? If you guys remember the Campos family that we talked about, they donated $5,000 or
5,300.
$5,300 to help the sheriff's office safety equipment.
Yeah.
This was the couple that was traveling on Highway 30 west of Chapman, and Mr. Campos was killed in that accident. His wife, Jeannie, Jake spent a lot of time with her at the hospital. They were from Colorado. I know we mentioned this before, but again, it's a good gesture to mention this. A lot of people don't go above and beyond like that. Deputy Bauer went to not only the hospital, off duty. He got off duty that day, and it was hot as hell. I remember that. Went down there and spent time with her, and her mobility was very limited. In fact, Jake, not even knowing this lady, fed her in the hospital, and actually fed her meals and stuff until and spent a lot of time. Miss Campos was just down here a couple months ago, and I got to meet her for the first time, and absolutely just amazing story, amazing people. She had her daughter and her grandson here. I was working at jail, I think it was a Saturday or Sunday, and wow, what a neat lady. So if you go and you see a flag or a cross on, Jake maintains that and goes out there all the time, and on the south side of the road there's a solar light at night. If you really look, it shines on that cross, and Jake's done that, and they go out there. So his wife, Jeannie, they travel. He was a veteran, very proud veteran. Their family has just been awesome. So that equipment, just what it did for us.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We, $5,300, that's a lot of money to donate, you know. And that allowed every deputy to, Miss Campos, she is huge on officer safety. And that was her big deal. And she wanted to buy every deputy what I would call a rapid response kit. And what that would be like a plated vest that has more ballistic resistance than what our regular duty vest does. A helmet, a ballistic helmet, and a couple other things. And so we were talking about that, and I suggested that potentially we go the route of something a little bit more practical that would get used more often, you know. And so she asked what I was thinking, and we talked about it, and ultimately every deputy got a light for their handgun, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you're clearing a building and you have a flashlight on the end of your handgun, which you use to clear a building, frees up one hand, that's really nice. So she got everybody a weapon-mounted light for our handgun, a weapon-mounted light for our rifle, a new holster that is more secure for our handguns. Makes it harder for anyone to try and get that out of our holster. She got us a optic for our rifle. She got us what we would call a go bag, which would be something that we would take into a situation if we were ever going into like a school shooting or an active killer type situation. And basically it's just a bag that you would keep in your car. You grabbed it, and you could go into the building, and inside that bag it would have tourniquets, which would, one for you and one for a civilian. It would have extra rounds for our weapons and some other bandage type stuff. And then she just wanted to make sure we had what we needed to be as safe as we could be, and really thankful for that donation for sure. So, yeah, if you ever go by the corner, it's the Marquette turnoff, just on the west side of that pivot. You'll see his memorial there. And yeah, they come out this summer and we redid it a little bit, but it's a really nice deal.
I noticed that and I wondered if you did that.
Yeah. Any questions about the citation or that donation? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I would like to ask Sheriff Messman as to who decided not to deliver my packet
Me,
and why.
we can discuss that another time.
I'd like to discuss it in open.
Your disrespect for my office, that's why.
I've never disrespected your office.
We can do this another time.
No,
Well, we're going to.
I think that smells of retaliation.
You can walk over and grab it.
I sure can, but I think if you're going to serve it to 6 others, then it needs to be done to me. I don't have a wild dog.
It's not the dog I'm concerned about. Okay,
You could have walked
But I'd
over,
like
you
to
could
start
have
with-
called me and told me that you're not going to deliver it too. Instead of finding out last night, 5:15, when I couldn't walk over and get it.
are you done?
No,
Okay. Let me know when you're done.
Go ahead and give a report, John.
I'd rather talk to you to your face, not on a piece of paper, or a letter to the editor. You can talk to me to my face.
I'll talk to your face, all right?
You know where my office is, let's go.
And you know where I live too.
Let's go on, John.
Okay.
Report.
Thank you. I'd like to start out with, thanks for Deputy Bauer coming on his day off. We had in June, I have to look here, how terrible, I think June 15th, we had 2 lifesavers at Covenant Cedars. I know we posted a big thing about it, it was on the news. We did honor those heroes, if you will, with life-saving awards. It was really, really neat. We had it set up to honor them at their final banquet, their ceremony, if you will. All the help, all the staff, I learned a lot about Covenant Cedars and what they provide. It's actually really neat. So I think some of the deputies are going to start volunteering their time. A part-time deputy that we have, Aaron Smith, went out there, and it was kind of neat. Because they stood up and the gal says, "Hey, are you so-and-so?" And years ago, when he was Hamilton County Deputy, they also host a camp for kids that are just need kind of troubled kids. They do a separate, I'm trying to think of it, they do one for foster care, they do one for all different sorts. So the community that puts this together, they come from all over. Most of these kids have ankle monitors on. They have to get permission to go, whether it be the courts or probation or whatever, and so they need that. Deputy Smith actually helped a kid that broke a window, assaulted staff and everything here years ago. And the gal come up and said, "I never got to meet you, but I was the counselor of that kid." And to this day, it was kind of funny because, Deputy Smith's African-American, this kid was too, and played some of those things. He was involved in gangs and different things. And so they said it was kind of odd here. Deputy Smith pulled up, the kid disappears. Well, he takes him with him and had a nice long chat, like a 4-hour chat. Comes back, and that kid is doing perfect to this day. So whatever that was, whatever happened, really conformed that kid. And so he's coming back, not as staff, but they were happy to report that. So just kind of neat how he was able to be there. He had no idea that he'd even made that impact on those kids. So Lieutenant Dreer, myself, and Deputy Smith were able to respond. It was really neat. They had no idea we were coming. So it was just awesome. So I wished it was open to the public. It wasn't. but it was more a surprise to those kids. They were both from different parts of Kansas, and it was awesome. So we were able to give them life-saving awards, and Lieutenant Greer, myself, and Deputy Smith were able to do that. So very good. So if you see those guys, here's the article about it. We also had a fundraiser at Pinnacle Bank for it was Law Enforcement Appreciation. Some of you guys were there. Very good turnout, actually. You never know what the turnout would be at things like that, but this was overwhelmingly fantastic. So what they did was they split the proceeds between the city and the county. Ours was designed for the dog. That was something Pinnacle Bank called us to initiate. They did all the legwork. Several places donated food. They also cooked the food, and it was absolutely amazing. So you got burgers, chips, and a drink, I think, for $5. And we have not picked up our check yet. However, about $500 for each. So each agency got like $500. So it was very, very nice. For those of you who were there, might have saw the trading, I call them trading cards, they look like baseball cards, of the dog, of Shadow the Dog, and we had a couple different versions there. One thing we did to kind of give back to them is a part of that was advertising the dog on a trading card. We put that like the funding name. So if it was Roger Weger, it would say, proceeds donated by on that one card. So then a different picture would be, something donated by whoever else, because there's been a lot of donations. But we started at the top as far as the, basically the platinum, if you will, donors down to the small. So you will see periodically people have that on their cards. If you see that, that's what that is. So those went over very well too. Keep you updated on a little bit of stuff. Theft investigation. We had one in between Clarks and Silver Creek. A very, very large theft, anywhere from about $75,000 to $100,000, including a huge tractor, which you don't commonly see. Between the Kansas law enforcement, Olathe Police Department, Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, working diligently with them. It sounded like basically somebody came out and frauded somebody to use their residence for hunting or whatever, beautiful residence. And while they were there, they literally just cleaned house. So they loaded up trailers, even from their personal belongings, socks, underwear, clothes. They literally emptied the house. It led into in Columbus, a guy using false identification actually bought trailers fraudulently to go out there and put all the stuff on. So it was 2 or 3 people, 2 males, 1 female. They have been identified through them. They did serve a warrant on the house and got a lot of stuff, including the tractor that was parked in the middle of the city and the front lawn, so that kind of gave it away. So we were able to get the tractor and stuff. The people don't have it back, but very, very large. A lot of firearms, just a ton of firearms. So we're trying to get those back and work a big case on them. So they have a lot of stuff on them. They were very well known to Kansas. I will have pictures on them. I believe they have not been arrested yet, but they've been, like the drug task force and things like that, have been really diligently trying to follow that. So I plan on sending a letter to Kansas City and all those different agencies that helped. I'll tell you what, we picked up the phone and called, and they had SWAT teams going. And it was a part of town where that tractor was. They said you don't go in there without several law enforcement officers, and so they went in there with their SWAT teams and got our stuff. So long story short, that was a huge theft that happened in Merrick County, and we've been able to solve it with all those agencies. So diligent work is hard because there's lots of emails, lots of fax, lots of the technology we use, and lots of phone calls. So I know the deputies that investigated that were their days off. They were going, my God, the phone just kept ringing, because we don't always coincide with a Monday through Friday job. So a lot of their weekends were spent, doing that and making lots of calls and stuff and trying to get equipment back to the right people. So kudos to them. We have hired 2 new corrections officers to replace 2 past positions. One of those is Shannon Aguayo. She was at Hamilton County. She used to be one of our employees here prior to our switch over for communications. She went there, decided they didn't like it, wanted to come back. So it was easy for us to do that because she fit right in and she already knew our process. So other than a little bit computer issues that were new since she's left, she's learned that and is basically on her own. So that's really helped us. The other one is Tiffany Brandel, and she was coming back to move to the Fullerton area where she was born and raised, and she had eight and a half years at Buffalo County. And so she's used to us a little bit as far as our contract through Buffalo. So she kind of knew how we did with that and things. And talking to the deputies that she knew that had worked there, we have a few deputies that have actually worked that started their career at Buffalo County here and called them. So it was perfect timing to advertise because we scooped them both up right away within days. And that usually don't happen. So it was very nice to be able to have those two people. So if you see them, there's a new face. They are new. You'll see them both days and nights. We rotate, so if you see somebody new, stop and say hello. They're very nice people.
How many correction people do you normally have on a shift? Just one or?
One, and then we try to have somebody up front because you have a lot of walk-in traffic. Basically phones, computers, visitation, gun permits, VIN inspections.
Right.
And they do all that, yeah. We have them been inspected as well.
Daylight hours. And how many inmates do you have on an average?
I would have 6 or 7. We always try to keep one cell open for the fresh arrests. Anymore to have somebody come in that's probably not under the influence of something is pretty rare, or a high. The mental capacity is lessened, I would say, dramatically. So. We talked about this maybe a couple months ago. I don't know, Mike's still in here. We talked about it, and I just want to kind of clarify a few things a little bit. We talked about no parking signs and pedestrian traffic on Bader Park. I did post something to Facebook, and we kind of upped the patrol there a little bit. I mean, obviously we couldn't do too much, but we talked about that. And I do think it cut it down. We didn't get a lot of calls, but I think telling people there isn't really a lot we can do other than, but I can tell you on the north side from the bridge, on our side in Merrick County, I do think we could there's a couple no parking signs, but then it stops. So does that mean I can go beyond that and park or whatever? I don't know how much signs are. I don't think it would be too big of a deal to maybe do that on both sides, either this year or next year something, and go to the camp, so many yards or whatever. So you just sporadically get that no parking. I think that might solve some of it. And then if we can do something, even a warning sign, a danger sign or something about pedestrian traffic on the bridge, just putting a couple signs, no pedestrian traffic. I don't know if that'll help, but they see it with no pedestrians and they see it no parking. That may eliminate a lot. I do think that people will go on the other side on Hamilton County and do it from there, but I think that might strengthen and encourage them also to do the same thing. I've talked to some landowners out there, and they don't want the people on the property parking there, and they suspect drug use and stuff, and I don't think they're probably too far off from that. But that would, again, that's Hamilton County. But I do think if, for one, landowner says if we start seeing maybe some action, that they would do it too, I think, even on their own personal, as far as their property goes. So, again, I don't know how we do that, what you want, or who does it, or things like that, but I'd be more than happy to help in any way I can, if that's something you guys want to do, as far as putting up the parking and the pedestrian. So.
Do you have to do it?
Well, I think we can get together and see where you want them, and I can make a drawing that the board has to direct us to put them.
Okay, so I can take picture. Whatever you guys think you'll need, I can go out there and take pictures or whatever and get with Mike. I've never ordered signs and stuff, and I know.
They do have the no pedestrian bridge sign.
See,
You can make a sign whatever you want to say.
and then as far as like statute requirements or anything like that, I think we have to do that as a board, right?
The highway superintendent has to deem it a traffic hazard, and then from there, this board has to consider his recommendation and whether to pass a resolution that allows you to direct the parking signs.
Yes. So there again, I don't know if you have to do all that. Maybe put the signs up and try to detour that way. I would say the average person would see that you can't do it, they're not going to do it. But if we can pull up and say move your car because of the sign or not, it might detour what we may or may not be worried about. So I know that was a big thing, but we haven't had a lot of calls over the summer, so it died off think whatever we did do detoured some, so maybe doing some signs might not be a bad idea, so.
Is it required to have board directors?
Just to do the signs and everything, I mean, we could, okay. Then I'll definitely get with Mike and we'll figure something out. Like I said, there's probably, I guess there's two maybe, kind of faded, but then after that too, you from that point to the camp, to the park, then you can probably park there, so.
Or out both directions.
Yeah, so, I don't know, I just think if they saw that and they see, oh wow, you can't hear, but we can over there, in Littleton County, I wouldn't imagine would be too far behind us of trying to do the same thing. And they don't have near the ground that we do, because you got that gravel corner there, so they don't have the stretch of parking that we would have, but still some. Is it Primrose or Penrose from Grand Island? Penrose. They own the west, southwest corner of that, so where the people actually park in the parking lot is Penrose family. And I know they do not want that there either, I've been told. So I think if they could rope it off, gate it off, do something, they would probably do that too. So, and the Allens out there are on the east side, and they don't want that either. So I think we got support from even Hamilton County landowners, and I think they'll work with us if we want it. So, okay. Medical update. I know I talked to you guys about doing medical agreements, things like that. Still a work in progress. Boy, something you think that would be really easy to do, it's not. So we have gotten, I've probably drove Lindell nuts, sending her copies, and he's pointing out the comment, I know. Yeah, just things to review, and what do we do, and what's the legal requirements. And we're not the only ones. You call around, and they're really going from agency to agency. We unfortunately have an issue now where we're just not offered those lower rates. So every time we go to the hospital, I just cringe, and it's weekly. I was there last night till almost 10:30, so it's almost weekly we go, and I just think those bills we don't get those discounted rates anymore, and you don't get them in very many places. So whatever we can do to work on that, we do have some available. We've got some contracts, and then we're going to just make a meeting with our hospital here, or even the executives from Lincoln, and say, what do we need to do here to get this rolling? So.
Didn't you say Lincoln?
I've been told by people in Lincoln they have the discounted rate, they go in there. So I can't imagine it being an issue, but.
From the Bryan Hospital.
From the Bryan
So
Hospital.
we're attempting to get a copy of their agreement.
Yeah.
So that we can take that to our local hospital.
And as easy as that is, it's really not. When you make those calls to get it, you run through hoops to get those things. But I don't know why, and I know you can go to other places, and even not a discounted rate, but it is still cheaper. Some by lot, some by little. It's really not the staff or the way we're treated by any means. That's fantastic. It's just when you get the bill, you just about flip. So, and last night, prime example, it's kind of I would say probably fake, but you don't know. And as a medical provider, you can't. As a doctor, I don't think. I mean, their hands are tied too. I don't think they can look at somebody and go, "You're fake and get out of here, go to jail." And they're covering their butts too. But we had one last night that the minute we PR bonded him, he unplugged his own stuff and said, "I'm out of here. I don't need it anymore." So, but there's no way to tell them that. They thought, heart attacks and everything else, but that all comes with CAT scans, EKGs, every lab, calling all cars here to do something. So for a 10-minute thing, ends up being hours long of high medical bills. Just to let you know, we're still working on those type of things, and we'll continue. And we'll come, if there's something we can do is sign something or get together, then we'll do it, because we definitely need something. Definitely need something. We haven't even got the bills yet. I don't think you'll even see those yet. We have one of the inmates, we do have a D&E currently now, housing here for basically medical reasons. He's been in our jail for a long time. I'm not a medical doctor, but I would say faking a lot of the symptoms. Diagnostic and Evaluations, Department of Corrections.
Oh, okay.
So basically it's where you go when you're sentenced to prison. You kind of go there and they facilitate which prison you go to. And due with overcrowding, some people live or do their whole sentence there and they don't ever leave. He is currently there. I believe we have court coming up. We've come to some agreements and stuff. But the last time we did have him was in my opinion, faked another heart attack. It was an ambulance ride to Bryan from here, and sat there, so we provided, several deputies had to go. You also have to provide the security for that, so they don't just drop them and take them. You got to provide your own security at Bryan Hospital. So we 3 different rotations, and then they finally let him go, and then we just took him right to D&E, because and this has been 5 or 6 times between us and other counties that he's done this. That's the second ambulance ride we've had for the same guy. So you'll see those high bills, just to let you know they're coming, and I don't know how you prevent that. We don't really have a direct contact where you can pick up the phone and call, Dr. Joe and say, this is what I've got, and I don't know if that's the answer or not. I mean, we've done that years ago. We've crossed those paths, and we didn't think we could afford it at the time, and maybe we can, but something, again, I mean, we talk about the jail quite a bit. That's a big function. Just always keep that in your mind. I mean, it's always going to be an issue. Whether the medical and the transports, all that stuff's always there. You can't get rid of it.
So do you have some agreement with the city of Central City as far as the ambulance go?
Our bill, to go back to that heavy bill we had, that's been taken care of. We no longer owe that bill. So I don't probably suspect that. Since I've been here, we never had gotten one. My thing was it was okay I'm okay to bill us. I mean, it's a job you got to do. But boy, that amount, then you just as well have. You could have somebody from out of town come and pick up an ambulance. It would have been $200 more to have somebody come from out of town with a paramedic or EMT to come and do the same thing. So don't want to lose that. But I think once the city knew and understood that, it was 1 mile up and back for $900 and some dollars was a lot of money. So that's been taken care of. One thing I was going to bring up, I talked to Linnell about, is defense attorney costs. By any means, I'm not saying what to do or whatever. I kind of look across the board. I'm speaking from the sheriff's side or inmate. It's kind of interesting because I get, Linnell's version and how she sees it, and then you put that piece of pie together. One thing that I have noticed, and I don't understand the court system either, or attorneys either, so by any means I'm not putting that down. What I would like to see here is maybe some research or whatever. It looks like we spent a lot of money for defense attorney costs. Maybe you'll never get out of that. I don't know. Some counties have public defenders. I don't know if that's good or bad either, or if we live in an environment you may not get anybody. I don't know. Whatever the terms or stipulations would be on that. But I can tell you that I always see the caseload with Linnell's office, going up. That's just, you're just going to need just as many defense attorneys to be on that. You got to equal out. From my standpoint, when inmates complain, inmates will always complain. But when you can hear consistently the same routine complaint, and then you start watching it, I don't think they get what they deserve as an inmate. And I've had a lot of people with this discussion, when I have that, well, they're just inmates. No matter what we think about the people incarcerated, it's our job to protect them and take care of them. But here's the deal, you're paying the money anyway. So whether they're actually meeting with that client or not, you're still paying that money out. Because it could be a 5-minute before court. We have people that sometimes haven't met their attorney. I can personally tell you from my end, and if I don't know if Pat's here, if the chief deputy's here, I know he got called out, he'd probably tell you the same thing, because we watch that, and I don't know how many, things that they have going on. These attorneys don't just serve Merrick County, so when they come here, and even the public can get frustrated, but you got to understand wherever they're from, they've got their business too. So, whether it's a contractor or however that works, but we see that sometimes the same attorneys come in and they continue that case 6, 7 times, or 6 or 7 clients in a row. Well, they still got paid to come here and do that. And sometimes we're not meeting with their clients. We seldom have an attorney come in the jail to meet with their client. And when these people come back, it just seems like, I'm looking at Linnell's office and it's this deep and stuff, and then she's there, she's prepared, or Aaron or whatever, and they're ready to present the case, and these guys are, well, I'm sorry, I've got, trials in this town, I've got trials in this town. So would it be better to have somebody that doesn't have all those trials and, things that Linnell can work with somebody on? And by any means, I'm not speaking for her. Hopefully I'm not making her mad by saying this, but I watch that and I just think, holy cow. So when you get the statistics of it, and you see the money, and you see what's spent, personally, I don't see the inmate side of it's getting probably that fair share. So I would like to say if I came to jail or my family came to jail and we were indigent and didn't have money or whatever, the case may be, that they would at least receive a quality defense. And unfortunately, we don't, some are rock stars. You think, well, hey, you went above and beyond your, what, the minimum, I don't even know what that is, requirement for your paycheck, but then there's some that are not good.
So can you keep track of lawyer inmate contacts while they are detainees? Can you, is that something that you can?
Oh, yeah, anybody that comes in to visit, we document when they come in and stuff. But
So somebody could look at that and say, well, you didn't even meet with them, how come?
Oh, that definitely wouldn't be me. I don't even know if you can do that, to be honest. I don't think they're false in the system.
Inmates in
okay.
Buffalo County, they're allowed to meet with them via video conference now from their office. We set that up because we wouldn't have to pay them to drive all the way to Buffalo County so that they could meet with them. And so there's no way to monitor when they do that.
Oh, I was thinking locally.
Well, and most of our people are shipped off to Buffalo County that.
What I've tried to, sorry. What I tried to gather was as of August 6th, in 2015 and 16, we spent $171,000 some odd dollars. That's district and county. 16 and 17 was about 208,000, 209 if you averaged it out. 17, 18 was 187, some odd dollars. 18, 19 is 170, and we still have, 4 or 5 months to go. So
That's with lawyer fees that might
the district or county
only meet their client 5 minutes before it.
could be,
And
or they work their butts off.
Sit there and continue it 4 or 5 times until they get, so every time they come down here, it could be a $300 bill.
I don't know even what they get paid.
I'm just saying, a rough number, say $300.
Oh, I would say they definitely, they're getting their money's worth.
Some of them I know designer.
And remember, when they apply for attorney's fees, they have to go through my office. I go through them line by line to make sure that what they're doing is justified. I can't necessarily question how long they took to read over a pre-sentence investigation, or how long they took to read a case report for DHHS, or how long they met with their client in the jail. But I have to approve all of that, make sure it's justified, make sure, that they're not billing us. For example, sometimes one attorney will come for 4 different cases in the same day, but they are only allowed to bill their time for travel for 1 case. So I make sure that they're not double billing us in that respect, and then I submit it to the court. The court also has to approve it to make sure that they're not overdoing it as far as the fees go. But I think as a public defender, that's something that we can look at. It's something this board has to approve. It would be a contract. I think Boone County does it. But people that accept public defender contracts will only do so for a certain number of cases. And then from there, we would have to pay them their hourly rate. And keep in mind as well, even if you contract with somebody, that doesn't mean they can handle every case. There's conflicts of interest. And then there's cases where there's 2 or 3 or 4 different people in the same car that get charged. And so they would only be able to handle one of the 4. In juvenile court, they've got attorneys for parents, attorneys for the kid, attorney for dad, a guardian ad litem. So sometimes there's 4 different attorneys on 1 case. And that's all by statute. And your legislature is pushing more and more to make sure that people have court-appointed counsel if they cannot afford it.
We just had one where the county attorney's office was working. It was a big deal. How many months did we go? And then all of a sudden there was a conflict with that attorney. So then you're done. Ready for trial, and then we have an issue. So then we have to find a loan attorney. That attorney now has to review all that stuff. I'm not saying start over, but you got that too. So I just wanted to throw some stuff at you. I know sometimes it looks like that's all we do is spend money, and unfortunately I think
The
that's
numbers make it look like, gosh, we could certainly hire a public defender to contract for less than that amount, but then you start thinking about all of the extra attorneys that would have to be involved beyond the public defender, it may or may not be a good idea in the end.
Some of us had this discussion just the last meeting, after signing some of the claims.
Yeah, and seeing that, like I said, Linnell knows that end of it, I don't.
I'm glad to see these numbers. Yes or no?
Yeah, well, and I'll be honest with you, it could be worse too. If they, all right, then I'll go up there, I'm gonna go up there, I'm not saying abuse the system, but it would be more than the figures I just gave you. Keep in mind, if they did come down and they sat down with hours and they went over with their clients too, that would actually get higher, as well, so.
So would this,
better or worse, however you look at
would
it.
this number be for all court appointed, or? Where'd you come up with this particular?
It's all from the county and district court.
Oh, okay.
So that, both courts together.
Oh, okay.
I think county court would, I can look here, county court's always gonna be a lot higher. County court will always be higher, I think, probably double. Yeah, easily double on all
It
those,
doesn't matter where it came from.
triple some of them.
That's something we can look at, like I said, but you also have to determine whether or not there's anybody interested in the contract, and if there's anybody locally, and that's always been an issue with Central City, Merrick County, there's not a lot of attorneys in our county. So they're
Yeah.
looking at paying them the mileage or time to come from out of town.
Whatever we can do, if there's anything, you see it, and then, like I said, what we see on our end, it doesn't mean it's right or wrong, it seems like it's, you don't get, it wouldn't be what I would, granted, they're not paying for it, but, well, you wouldn't get that, I would imagine, if you paid for it out of your own pocket. So, I just don't want it to become just a deep pocket, That's why I feel like medical sometimes too, it's guaranteed paycheck, it's guaranteed they'll pay, and so, we can do that, so. A couple other things, I'm done. Future repairs in the jail, I just wanted to pass that around. I know we've talked about a couple things in the, I don't remember what Jimmy Gray said, was it safety or security? I think it was safety, I think. And I know we haven't really since. And there was some repairs, obviously those only get worse. I do have some pictures here I'd like to show you, just an idea of what should do. Some of those things should probably be fixed. They didn't get that way overnight, so it's not a huge deal. Some of these things could be of a more concern. I would like to meet, if anybody would like to meet about those, and I can talk to you about those, I would love to. Oh, we are? Sorry. Okay, then never mind, we'll do that later. Jail update, same, we're busy. I always tell you we're busy. It just depends on whether it is the weather, the crime, the whatever, but like last night, you'd have thought it was a full moon and crazy. We went from meetings to death calls to ambulance or hospital visits to lots of things. So we keep running. Unfortunately, we can't depict when somebody's going to come to jail or not, but it seems like it's a few every week, if not more. So
Is Buffalo County accepting any of your?
they are accepted now. Yes. And we did have what was it? It wasn't an arraignment. What was it? Maybe it was a bond. We had an inmate in Butler County, because we had there, and there was a little bit of confusion of, can they do the video, for their bond review? And we thought, this is crazy if we got to go back and forth. And sure enough, they actually had it. So once we were able to tie in they basically had the same system, and they tied in, so we were able to do that bond review or whatever it was. So that was really nice with Butler too. So we did not have to go down there and get that person and bring him back for 2 minutes and then come all the way back. So
Can the detainee video reviews?
oh yeah, they can refuse even going to court. We've had to.
Ultimately, whether or not it's done via video conference is up to the judge.
Hold up to the judge.
And most of the time, the judges will allow bond reviews done that way, but beyond that, for an arraignment, he requires the person to be right there. For a plea, they have to be present in court, or anything beyond a bond review. Judges are required to be present in the court.
If you ever see the news at night, and this is weird because I've had people ask me why they looked like that. Hall County is one of them. I can think of the guy that did the younger kid that did a homicide here months ago, and he was on the news. It looked like his face was like right here, and that's what they're doing is video court. So he's talking through a video to the judge. So if you ever see that, just think this is really weird. That's what that is. He's sitting in front of it. He or she is sitting in front of that video, talking to the judge during that video, and they don't have to physically be there. So maybe see that.
They do that for their arraignments because they do it at 11 o'clock every day, and they did it via video conference since they built the new jail. I think it's more of a transportation and a safety issue.
Sure.
Hall County.
It saves a lot. The more you can do with it.
So you don't have 11 people in the courtroom with 1 or 2 deputies.
Yeah, and I can, and that's actually something I can add that to my little thing. I know everybody can have mixed opinions on whether it's money or whether it's staffing or whatever the case may be, but I would encourage anybody to come right along on a court date. But I want you to do the whole day, not just pick and choose. From sunshine to sundown when we're done, and see the amount of people. Here's my biggest concern is anybody can change their policy, but why would you our policy is 2 people when you're gonna go to court, and if you have that amount of people, I got a picture I can show you with 11 people sitting in that jury box. And I can tell you when it's Tom Weller's turn to go up and talk to the judge, he's done, we go back over to that jail. Now there's one guy in that courtroom. So we've talked about that several times, but how safe is that? I can tell you if something happens, who they blame it? You guys and me. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. You hope, you cross your fingers, that ain't gonna happen. Even when you come back, you got 2 for 11 people. We try to get them, I've had people say, why don't you just leave them in the courtroom? We can do that too, we've had to. But you really don't want 11 detainees sitting in your courtroom either, because they've committed a crime. You've probably got a victim, you've got a witness, you've got a county attorney that, I laugh when I say this, that goes them off. Generally, that's true. They've got some anger built up in several people in that room. So the quicker you can eliminate that and get them out of there, the better. Now, keep in mind also, it depends how many people we have in our jail currently, and the classifications. You're taking those people and just kind of throwing them in a cell that's already generally full. It could be for at least 4 hours, if not all day. So the last time I went to Buffalo County, I got back at like 7:30 at night. So, and keep in mind they had to be here at 9 o'clock that morning. So wherever they were arranged on that court schedule, we go get all of them, so we're not doing 3 trips. Sometimes you have to, to Buffalo or wherever you got. But that van or that car comes, drops off, they go to Lincoln, come back, drop off, they go someplace else and drop off. I encourage you to just sit in the courtroom, just sit and see what they do. It's crazy the amount of people that go through there on an arraignment on a Monday or Wednesday. Just the times I sit in court, I can't imagine. Lynell and Aaron are just stuck there. And it's nice to leave and get out of there and do a transport. But
And you might think it's just our inmates that we're housing in Buffalo County and that's all we're bringing back from court, but that's not accurate because 9 times out of 10 on a district court day, we've got people who have charges and are being held in Hall County or have already been sentenced to the pen out of a different York County, or they're sitting in York County and but are posted bond in our county, or they're in Butler County because Buffalo County won't take them. So then there are prisoners, but at the same time, they could be housed in other counties other than Buffalo.
There was like a warrant for their arrest.
Right. Warrant or
And
charges in that county.
that's pretty common. I mean, we just picked up, we had 2 yesterday, the jails were full. York called and said, we cannot keep this person, we're plumb full. Platte County called and said, we're plumb full, come get them. So I just saw last night, if anybody watched the news, Douglas County is like, I don't remember, it was 100 or 1,000, I don't remember. And they're going, we can't. They're begging the judges to start, if it's nonviolent offense, let them go, because we cannot house these people anymore. So the penitentiaries are full, the jails are full. I don't have the answer. Some people, and that's why I say factual information, is to get that, is what I ask, is to come and look at your jail, look at the factual information, what you see. How can you hire 10 people, you don't hire anybody? It's just the facts of what you got. I mean, and see that. Some people, well, why the heck would you house people outsource them? It's ridiculous. What do you do with the people? We didn't make them commit crimes, so if we're over 8, they gotta go somewhere. So everybody has that idea, that ploy to do it, but I think we should be working on a solution, not just a complaint, and actually see what's at stake here. And I don't want to, you guys have the ability to close jails, you got abilities to build jails, you got abilities to do all those things, but it all takes money. So whether someday you want to build a multi-million-dollar jail, fantastic. You want to close this one day, fantastic. Regardless, the inmates are still going to be inmates. They still got to be transported. They still got to be watched by somebody. Whether it's us, but you're going to pay for that. Whether you pay for the employee here in Merrick County to do it, or you go someplace else and you're paying just a lump sum a year, you got to pay somebody to do that. So I know one thing coming to Merrick County, and not to sound bad, is you get a lot of old school. Well, back in my day when I worked there, we only had me and good luck. The police department didn't have that many people either. Hall County didn't have that many people either. Everybody around you, I mean, look, call them. I encourage you to call them, because people challenge me. I've got the information on my desk to see the staff. I think you'd be amazed to see how much staff that other counties around us and similar to population are compared to Merrick County. And I think you would literally go, whoa. So it's a little bit do that investigation first, kind of see where you're at. Why other people build jails? Why do they not, contract, those type of things? I mean, I'm still not disappointed in going to Buffalo County. I'm not, because our medical has been very cheap, knock on wood. And there's somebody, they have that person to call up and say, I've got this guy complaining of this. What do you want me to do? And that doctor on the phone says, do this, this, and this. I mean, so as a last resort, they're going to an emergency room. That's our first resort here, because we don't have that medical. I by no means am saying go hire doctors and nurses to come into our agency, but I'm not gonna lie, if it would be nice to pick up the phone and say, hey, Dr. Marcia, we've got an issue. What would you like us to? Give us some recommendations here, so we don't just load and go. And then you get a whole dissertation that you may or may not need. So I think it's a huge concern for the county later on. I tell you, every time I'm here, is really keep that in the back of your heads, because I may not be here, but the next person's going to be either asking you to build a jail or get rid of one you got, or, do what we got to do to make it better. But I think anytime you operate in a building that's old, we can fix it up. But we've also sat here and said, not everybody here, but some, that, well, why put a Band-Aid on a building that we don't want to do that. So again, those repairs are minor. We'll talk about that a little bit. The last thing I wanted to say, I've had some calls on the sheriff's sale. Even though we posted on Facebook, it has been canceled. It was the 22nd, so it's over. I had a lot of people say, well, I didn't know that. It was canceled. So the gentleman that owed the money that we repoed lots and lots of things, that's all been done, settled, and he's paid his debt and got all of his stuff back. So we did not have a sheriff's sale, thank God, to have to go through all that stuff. And then again, I encourage right along. So honestly, come out days, nights, whatever. If you have a question about courts, come along. If you got questions about patrol, come along. Guys would love to have you. So, and gals. Thank you. I'll see you in a minute.
Thank you.
Marcia?
I got one more, real quick. We received a refund yesterday for $34,526.35 from Brian Merrick Medical Center. These were on bills that the county has paid previously on an indigent person.
Doesn't have anything to do with anything, it was through the
No.
general assistance guideline, indigent care.
Indigent person. This person, they finally got him on Medicare or Medicaid, so Medicaid went back and picked up the prior. I do have another one that, not to this extent, but it could be, that hopefully Brian is working on getting them on the same service so that we don't end up paying out that kind of money. And this, we had already gotten refunds before this, so yeah, hopefully they work a little harder on this other one and get it taken care of before the county pays out. Just wanted you to know.
How much was that, Marcia?
$34,526.35.
Okay, this is medical officials report. We'll go to public comment if there's any. If not, we'll move on to Emily. I think she left, did she?
Yes, Emily had to leave. Emily just wanted me to reiterate that the only thing she had to say was they got in $36,000, and